Okay, so I saw that the comic Something Epic by Szymon Kudranski was on sale. It had just come out. And I said, oh, let me give it a shot. Recognize the guy's name, and also it seemed to be a writer-artist deal where he's artist is doing the writing as well, doing everything. And I was like, I don't know exactly what this is. Didn't read anything about it. Didn't look in previews, anything. So I just blindly went into it. And I was like, okay, this is a little odd. The artwork's kind of interesting, kind of nightmarish a little bit. Very, I would say, grim, but not in a grim dark Warhammer 40k kind of deal. But there was a darkness to it. There was like it felt kind of personal, almost like a journal entries or diary. Like it felt traumatic, which is very strange. But getting into it, it started unraveling as a very weirdly personal story. I thought it was going to be like kind of all like Stephen King does a bunch of stories where it's about writers. Like story about a writer, story about a writer. And in many ways, this kind of was. It's a story about this young artist, this young boy named Danny, and he's being raised by his mother, is working many hours to pay provide for the family because there's no father in the picture for whatever reason. They kind of delve into it a little bit, but I was shocked at how good this was. It was granted it was a first issue, but it doesn't it isn't stretched out. It isn't decompressed to the point where you don't know where it's going. There's something about it that kind of reminded me of it did remind me of two other properties. One being Neverending Story, the other being Page Master, but way better than Page Master. I mean, I want to say it's better than Neverending Story, but had that feeling to it. Danny reminded me of Sebastian from, or yeah, Sebastian, uh, the little kid, the one reading the book of what he's the character in the book. But this story is, uh, there's another thing about the artwork that I really enjoyed was that Simon was able to not only do his normal style, which I'd recognize. I think he did Punisher work. He did some other stuff like I want to say like some like Steve Niles work. But there's like characters that show up. Okay, clearly that's like a Punisher kind of character. That's this kind of character. But then it's like Ninja Gaiden. I think the character's actual name is Guy Den, and here's Tetsuo. Here's this. Here's that. Like basically in a way, but it's more like these characters that exist for this kid in this world. And there's little gremlin monsters, and there's a lot of it reminded me of something from the 80s. And I really enjoyed that without being, hey, see, we are wearing Michael Jackson style jackets and we're listening to Kaja Gugu and it's not that kind of story. I don't really know what it's exactly set. It doesn't feel like it's modern day, but it doesn't feel like a period piece. It just has almost a timeless feel to it. So if you like very personal stories with an active imagination, beautiful artwork, it gets a bit heavy, but I will be reading more of it. I am surprised how much I enjoyed it because I read that new Green Lantern book and it was such a snore because it was just boring. It was bland. But this is good. This is really good. So maybe you might like it, maybe not. Hopefully you will. And thanks for listening.